Sometimes when we are so used to doing things our way, it's just impossible to see another way to do things. And when you're so used to reacting to situations a certain way, behaving a certain way, and just your behavior is a certain way based on what you're going through, it's so easy to forget that, like, you also have to hear the instructions of what God's actually saying to you as far as what He wants you to do. So, for example, if you're upset with someone, you may really be a person that's just used to talking things out. You want to talk them out immediately, and you just don't want to have any other type of conversation about anything else besides that one thing. Or maybe you're a really reserved person and you really, really just love being quiet and taking your own time and being isolated. Or you may have a time where you're naturally overstimulated and you often find yourself you often find it hard to calm down when you are having so many factors pulling at your brain at one time, and it's really, really difficult to be able to operate outside of that. But what I want to offer you is that when you're so used to doing everything um, the way you want to do it, and then you start to follow God and anchor into faith and find strength in Him and knowledge in Him and understanding in what He has to say about it. And you're more interested in what He wants for your life than what you think is best for you for your life. You have to just like stop doing what you want to do. And this is not a video to where it's like, stop doing XYZ. This is just like a conversation to you that if you're so used to doing things a certain way, you're so used to acting a certain way. When you see X, you do Y. If this happens, then you do this, right? When you're so used to seeing that, uh, I offer to you that He might have different instructions for you. So for me personally, anyone that knows me, literally anybody that's ever known me, if they've known me well enough, would be able to say one of her traits is retracting. She's like normally a loud, bubbly person, but when she's like locked in or she's like very focused on something or she's very upset or she's very excited or like extremes basically. So really happy or really sad or really excited or really disappointed or really this or really that. Whenever I'm not in my norm, right, which is just my happy, bubbly, normal self, as you guys see in my videos, when I'm operating in those extremes, I love to isolate. If I'm super happy, isolate. If I'm really sad, isolate. I love to take my energy away from people. I love to take my presence away and just soak into what I have going on. On the side of sadness and disappointment, I am like burn everything to the ground. Not anymore, but I mean, like in the past, this is how I was up until like beginning of this year. It was like burn everything to the ground, like literally friendships, people, everything, opportunities, everything I have burned to the ground. I'm rebuilding. I don't know anything about anything I've ever done, and God is really speaking to me right now. He's like, "Did I tell you to isolate when things get hard? Did I tell you to like one of my things is when things get very difficult or I'm overstimulated, I will delete apps, I will block people's numbers. I like always like kind of basically remove things, right? So that's like removing anything that is attached to whatever's making me upset. So removing getting things out of eyesight, like out of sight, out of mind type of vibe, right? And I would just delete apps or delete like clear out my phone storage or clear out my messages with like all the spam texts and spam calls and spam voicemails and all that stuff, or clean out my closet or throw things away or whatever. And he was speaking to me. He was like, "Did I ever tell you to do that? When did I tell you to do that?" And this came up to me because I was really overstimulated yesterday with all the things I'm trying to figure out and figure out all these things on my plate. And he's like, and because of that, I wanted to I was like, I'm not gonna post at all on YouTube whatsoever until I figure all this out. Like that's literally what I told myself last night. after I did my Bible study, because we're doing 24 days of Advent right now. We are, as in me and the people that like watch it live. And um, he was like, "Did I tell you to do that? Did I tell you that that was what I wanted to do? Is that the solution? Like that's been your solution when you were operating from you. But did I tell you that that's what you were supposed to be doing?" And I was like, "Huh. I never actually consulted him on what I should do when these certain things happen, when I'm feeling overwhelmed, right? When I'm feeling upset, when I'm feeling this, feeling that." And also what he was speaking to me about, because the last 3 days I've been feeling really just like all over the place. And the first day in my head, I was like, okay, objectively, right? Objectively, from when I woke up this morning to right now, can I write down all the things that make me feel like my day went really bad, or all the things that upset me, or all the things that bothered me? And I looked at them and I was like, these really are so small. And they actually, first of all, this isn't true. That one's not true. This one didn't even really happen like that. And you're just like amplifying all of that, right? And I was like, okay. And so I revisited that same like technique today. I was like, it's not really techniques, it's just things that are like naturally natural tactics, I guess. And in my head, I was like on the verge of not in my head, but in real life, I was on the verge of like really breaking down. And I was like, did I like did I go through a day that was really that bothersome? Let me actually look at what happened today. And I'm looking at all these things, and these are things I can't control, things that can't even bother me, things that don't matter, such small things that literally are like a drop in the bucket to even mattering in life. And I was like, huh, it's so easy to get yourself worked up. And then when you get worked up, you start to say, okay, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to block this person. I'm going to block that person. I'm going to delete this, block this, blah, blah. And it's interesting because he led me to delete some apps from a few nights ago when I was asking him something about, I'm actually going to pull it back up. Like I have all these like notes and I write the date on them. So basically I took a post-it note and I like cut it up into strips so I could have like different size strips based on what I want. And so I think this is it. Yes. This is, he took me to job 22 21, which reads, submit to God and be at peace with him. In this way, prosperity will come to you. Accept instruction from his mouth and lay up his word on your heart. And I asked him where he was like taking me with all the things that I have going on. This was the third. So that was what, 2 days ago? Yeah, 2 days ago. And I was like, okay, he's telling me to take instruction. And I took the instruction, but because the instruction was so similar to what I've normally done, right? Because I normally isolate. So I normally delete apps and stuff. And so he was like, well, yeah, it's like, it's similar to what you've done. Like, I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, it's similar to what you've done, but he didn't say that was still the solution for everything. And so today, when I was feeling overstimulated, I was like, I want to not post that. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not going to post on YouTube. I'm talking about this channel where I do Bible studies and I do talk. And I'm being called to share all this information, which I personally don't even know why I'm being called to share this information. Because right now my channel is still really small. Right now, I don't really have a specific audience that I cater to. I'm trying to cater it towards 20-year-olds who are trying to build, not 20-year-olds, but 20 somethings, right? So if you're in your 20s, building wealth, financial freedom, finance, faith, because that's what I'm currently doing and currently building. And so obviously I want to share that information with other people, not so they can copy me, but that they can see other options. And so if they're like, oh yeah, I actually do want that, and I can share my options, all the things I'm doing to achieve those, and then you can pick and choose and whatever based on that. But the thing though is that like, yeah, deleting and removing yourself and isolating has been a thing that you did, but you didn't do it out of his word. You did it because you felt like that's what you were supposed to do. And so when he told me, like, and guided me to delete these apps, these two specific apps for distraction purposes, I was like, okay, distraction, get rid of distraction. And it made sense. And I was okay with it because he was telling me to do something I already do. I was like, great, perfect, 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 perfect. But today he was like, I didn't tell you to stop posting. I didn't tell you to stop talking about what you have going on. You don't even know what I have you building right now. And I still don't know, have no clue. In 5 years, I could look back and be like, dang, that was kind of right. But I have no clue. So um, this video is to say, is that what he said? Were those his instructions? Is that what he meant? Are you actually listening to what he's saying? And so the other thing about the distractions, about the two apps being distractions, is that it's hard to hear what he's saying. So he was telling me delete these two things, I'm assuming, because these two things were distractions. And so I'm supposed to be deleting those because I'm supposed to be hearing him. But now that I'm hearing him, I'm like, but I'm still overwhelmed in my own life. I'm like, okay, I need to do this. I need to stop posting on YouTube until I figure all this out, blah, 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 to try to center my energy, to try to get me to put my energy where I need it to go. And he's like, I didn't tell you to do that. I don't know what you got going on. So I'm here still posting. I'm here still giving my videos. And that's just something really important that I'm coming across, is actually listening to what he's saying. And when you get the distractions gone, it's really easy to hear him. And I hear him well because I did years of inner work where it kind of applies the same to faith. It wasn't for the purpose of faith, but it's the same type of hearing, understanding, being able to understand what's being communicated to you. And now it's like, oh, you don't have to do the same isolation for everything because you don't have to operate like that. And so today I feel very like overwhelmed, but again, like with that same tactic, I feel like all the things I was worried about don't really matter. They're so small, they're so minuscule, they don't even really affect my life at all. Like it's not actually a domino in like a real life situation or a real life, you know, a real life thing. And so yeah, so after that, that just really, really, really blessed me a lot to hear that, to know that like, yeah, you are going to use isolation sometimes, but sometimes you don't need to because that's not what you're being called to do. So you're stopping your own blessing. Like imagine you stopping your own blessings. He's trying to build this thing for you and get you to work through this thing and share through these things. And you're like, I'm supposed to isolate. I'm not making no videos. I'm not making no blah, blah, blah. I don't have time for no content. I got to figure life out. And you stop blessing his kingdom by that because now people who are supposed to hear this aren't going to hear this. Um, and yeah, again, I don't really know what I don't really know what he's got going on around me and in my life, but it doesn't really matter if I know. I don't really, I don't really care to know, right? I just want to be on the ride. Um, I just want to be on the ride, really. So that's just a really fun part of it all, and I'm just so excited. I love life. Even when life is like hard, it's not. Like I'd be thinking to myself, and I'm like, okay, like you're about to cry over taking out trash, like until and washing dishes. Like you're gonna have to take out trash and wash dishes until you literally croak. So you better get over it. You better get the freak over it now. So yeah. But the other thing that he was bringing to my attention was that like sometimes we focus so much on what other people are doing that we don't even care about what's actually going on. So one of the apps he told me to delete, I was using because my algorithm was feeding me Bible study videos. And I was like, oh, I love these Bible studies. But I have a whole Bible. I have a whole NI what is this? Yeah, I think this is a new NIT girl. NIV. I have an NIV, right? And I got thousands of other different versions on my phone, right, digitally of the Bible, and I'm keeping this app, watching other people's Bible studies, and not getting in the Bible. And the thing about it is, one, I read so terribly out loud. I read slow, and I've had comments given to me this year about my reading from from a person who I thought would never say something like that to me. So every time I read, I think of that one comment and I'm like, bruh, I read so slow, I read so slow. But like, good thing you don't have to read well to be loved by Christ. Ain't that a blessing, right? Good thing you don't have to have specific reading rhythm to be loved by Him, okay? But reading the Bible is also helping me to develop that skill of reading aloud and also learn the word because it's a lot different reading the Bible than reading Bible studies. Like it's a lot different. Also, I was reading this book. This is called Uncommon Sense: Your Strategy Guide to Creative Freedom by William Toms. Uh, he was on the no sleep is no sleep for suckers, suckers for sleep, no suckers, sleep is for sleep is for sleep is for suckers social proof podcast with David Shands like a few months ago, and I bought this book. I had done a modeling deal and I had like some money over from it, and I was like, and I went shopping, and I was like, hey, let me use this money to get the book. And so I used the money to get this book. It was like $35 or so, and it's signed too. So, period. The quality of the book is really great. Like the actual paper quality is amazing. Um, or maybe I just don't read books enough, but I think it's really good quality. And so I've been reading this too. So I may or may not share some stuff out of here at some point, but I just wanted to add that in. I read a little bit of this yesterday. But yeah, again, reading out loud. And I had bought that book a few months ago, and I just like maybe like 8 months at this point. Maybe like eight, bro. What? Yeah, like 7 months ago. And I didn't want to read it. I had been like not reading it because I hate reading books. But that's also been helping me in instead of trying to read it from front to back, like I think I have to, I just be flipping through it as I should because I can do that. It's a book, I bought it, I could do that. So that's about social media strategy and stuff like that. And love that book. But I will see you guys into my next video. And just make sure you stay in your word and don't go focus on Bible studies because Bible studies don't put you in the word. It tells you what someone else is interpreting about the word. Like, go read the word for yourself. Like, stop being distracted by apps where there's like being where you're being fed information from people because you have a Bible. You have access to a free Bible app, which you can go get into the word yourself. So, yeah,